Hello and welcome to the program. This is Minority Opinions Podcast. I'm Hito.
And I am Sir Master Ricardo.
And today we're going to talk about movies, as usual.
Yeah, this isn't a cooking channel. You came to the, wrong one if you expected that.
How you doing, man?
Oh, dude, I'm back in San Francisco and it's my last semester as a, undergraduate.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I'm basically in your shoes right now. Like, I'm literally where you're at. Well, where you were at. And I am terrified.
Why are you terrified?
Because it's all about graduation. I gotta figure out where I'm gonna. Well, I know where I'm gonna live, but I gotta figure out what's next in life. It's like Francis Ha. It's like, what's next? It's the fear of not knowing is what scares me.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
But it was good. The flight back was kind of scary. There was turbulence on the plane, so that terrified me for a bit.
You also tweeted about Alaska Airlines being better than United, which is true.
Oh my god, United, they make you sit in it's like 3 seats per row, and then in Alaska it's only 2 seats per row, so you don't have that awkward middle row where you sit in the middle, and then it's either a really awkward person sitting next to me or a person with the baby. I mean, babies are fun. I'm used to it because I basically live in a daycare at home, but it's like just people who are very inconsiderate, like elbow you. I'm like, can you not do that? Or like they spill the peanuts on you and they're like, oh, sorry. I'm like, no, you're not. But that was basically my vacation. Like just I'm not vacation, but my trip back. I'm back in San Francisco. The RA job is pretty decent, but that's my life right now. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Working as a tutor. And I just started studying German. That's exciting.
Ayo, I don't know anything in German, but ayo.
I learned how to say I am Hito in German and how are you?
How do you say it?
Ich bin Hito. Wie geht's dir? Or wie geht es Ihnen? There's like a 2 different way of saying how are you.
Is it kind of like one's formal, one's informal?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so just like Spanish, or is that a thing in Japanese too, where like if you speak like as if in informal and formal tone?
Yeah.
Okay, it's so weird that like English we don't have that, but then in like other languages we do.
Really? I think there's because saying what's up and how are you doing, sir, is very different.
You're not wrong. Like the verbiage of the word, because like in Spanish, if you want to say like you, like I know you personally, you say tú, but then if you say like sir or madam, you say usted, and you only use those 2 words. There's only 2 words for that. But then like in English, there's like sir, madam, your majesty, mister, your honor.
I always had a tough time remembering so many phrases for how are you, like what's up, how goes it, how you doing, how have you been? Just so many of them. And I just feel like, can you just narrow it down to 3?
Yeah. I don't know why. I keep saying what's poppin' to people now. I like that one.
That sounds very 90s.
I don't know. I've been watching some 90s movies recently. And I've been listening to a lot of 90s hip hop. So that's probably why.
I see.
Yeah. Because I'm a 90s baby. Just kidding. I hate that joke. But enough chitter chatter. Let's get to the point of the show. Now, Hito, you're gonna talk about movies that you saw recently. No, some of them are fairly new. Some of them were horrifically snubbed at the award shows throughout the entire world, and you have some opinions about them.
Which one should I start with?
Let's go for female empowerment for our female filmmakers out there.
All right, so Hustlers. I finally saw Hustlers.
Yes.
Written and directed by Lorene Scafaria and stars Constance Wu, Jennifer Lopez, Julia Stiles, and Cardi B is also in it.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, for 10 minutes. For the better.
I mean, she's pretty good at her role.
She's great. Oh my God, she was like a ball of fire in every scene she was in.
That's a good metaphor, actually.
I'm so proud of that one. It's about a group of strippers in New York who manipulate and drug these Wall Street assholes and basically max out their credit cards and steal money from them. And you talked about this back in September, but for me, this is a female version of The Wolf of Wall Street, but with likable and sympathetic characters.
Okay, I get you. I thought it was extremely well made. I thought it had so much style in it and so much like clever use of like color and like framing for the characters that I thought it was I thought it was one of the best of last year.
I totally agree. I love this movie. The story, the performances, the costumes, the color palette, and the whole, you Wall Street attitude. I loved all of those things. Jennifer Lopez has never been better. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
Takes off my glasses. Jesus Christ.
She was so. I mean, I've heard all the hype right out of TIFF. People were saying Jennifer Lopez is gonna be nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Turned out that was not the case. Yeah, she was just so good in it. She was definitely using her charisma as Jennifer Lopez. She wasn't really trying to be. She wasn't trying to disappear into her role. She was definitely Jennifer Lopez, but she did it so well that I definitely bought this character as this, as a real person. All the four leads felt like fully rounded characters. I was surprised by how entertaining this movie was.
That's an interesting use of the word entertaining. Why would you use entertaining?
Because these women are in control of every situation. And I love seeing, working class people just stealing money from the 1%.
But then I will have to say, Hito, this movie does pose a gray moral stance at one point that I think makes it a more complex film.
True. Although I would have loved it if they had delved into the sort of dilemma of
their actions.
Yeah, their actions. Yeah, the consequences of it. I think I would have appreciated more depth in that field. I really liked the way it managed its tone. It's light and colorful and so much fun for the most part, but when things become dark, it does take itself serious enough to make the drama work. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It was really good fun. It's based on a true story, based on this article by New York Magazine, and apparently what we see on the screen is not far from the true story. I'm gonna go get a copy of this on Blu-ray, so yeah, big thumbs up.
All right, now we're gonna shift our gear to a faster speed, and we're gonna get the Need for Speed. That is copyrighted. We're gonna go faster. So, Hito, what's the next film you're gonna talk about?
Okay, so I recently saw Ford v Ferrari.
All right, and I talked about it too. I said it was I saw a perfect quote. It's very much a dad movie.
It is. It's a very, very, very dad movie.
But goddamn, is it a well-made, pulse, exhilarating dad film?
I agree. It was very entertaining. I don't love it as much as you do.
Yes.
I think it's a perfectly enjoyable dad's movie that happens to have some inspiring moments and a sort of uplifting message. I thought Matt Damon was fantastic in it. Christian Bale, I didn't know what accent he was doing.
I did this research because I have too much free time. It was an accent somewhere near London. It's called Buckingham, the city.
Okay.
And apparently their accents are just a fucking blend between North and South into one.
Ah, interesting.
And then, it was really apparently a lot of British people didn't like the accent either. They're like, "Oh, why would you use that accent?" It's like, whoa. It's like, why would you say that? Apparently that's why.
Matt Damon was so likable. I thought I bought him as this character. I definitely understood where he was coming from. And, him and Bale were great together. Sort of great old couple.
That's true.
Yeah, who beat the shit out of each other every now and then. And the chase sequences are just brilliantly crafted. The last 25 minutes or so, I was on the edge of my seat. It was so exciting.
Oh, it was so good. I saw it twice, and even though I knew the outcome, I thought, oh my god, this movie's just so exhilarating. I felt so much adrenaline watching it.
Yeah, and did James Mangold say like there was no CGI in the movie? Or...
They definitely use CGI. I remember
Yeah,
reading because a lot of the backgrounds they couldn't replicate the actual Le Mans race,
yeah.
so they had to like compensate and like recreate it. But a lot of the cars were like real,
Okay.
like they were models, and then they would just shoot. Like I kept thinking, how did they shoot that scene? Like I know like a lot of it was rigs, but like I kept thinking, how is it possible? Was there like 4 cameras in the rig or something? I don't know. It was good. I enjoyed the cinematography.
Yeah, cinematography was very nice too. Everything looked so crisp, and you can smell the oil and the gas of it.
This movie had a lot of similar tones to Top Gun, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, it's only because there's a lot of shots that involve sunsets. The sunset, he's sitting with his son. He's like, the road, you gotta go straight for the road. The perfect lap. And I was like, that's very Top Gun energy.
Yeah, but not enough beach volleyball.
That is true, but it compensates with greasy Christian Bale covered in oil.
Okay, that's true. The score, Marco Beltrami's score, was great, and it definitely just amplified the sort of uplifting moments. It did feel too long.
That is something I did feel the second time viewing. I thought, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which parts made me feel like it was slow, but it did feel a bit long.
And you talked about it when you reviewed it, but I didn't like the kid performance. I liked Christian Bale's character's relationship with his wife, and I liked his relationship with his kid. I just didn't like how his kid was functioning as basically the exposition dump.
Yep, every 5 seconds they're like, "What's happening? The RPM's hitting 8." Okay, okay. I was like, "Okay, I get me in a theater." I'm like, "Okay, I get it." Like
Yeah.
me by myself on a Tuesday morning, like I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did feel that as well. And there was a little bit of male rawness that I wasn't a huge fan of.
I dug it.
Yeah, I know you do, and I know a lot of people do. I just... It's not that I wanted more female characters or anything. It's just the whole attitude of it. And I understand that this is a movie about men pursuing dreams and, you know, having ambition and the corporate nitwits, but still, like...
Exactly.
Yeah, but tone down the toxic masculinity just a little bit. Yeah, that's my taste.
Okay, I get you. But then we're also the same people. Well, I'm the same person who saw Little Women and I started crying. I was like, achieve your dreams, please.
Yeah.
And it's a girl movie. Shut up. It's a movie.
Yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I just like Hustlers a little bit more.
And that's fair. I completely get that. Recommend?
Sure.
All right. What's next on your list?
Okay, so the last film on my list is The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Jealous. But what is it about?
So it's a movie about this young man who has a Down syndrome, played brilliantly by Zach Gottsagen. I apologize if I butchered your name. And it's about... He lives in a retirement home. He lives in North Carolina, and the state doesn't have a facility for people with Down syndrome. So he's forced to live in this retirement home, and one day he escapes. He wants to, he wants to live a life, and he has this dream of meeting this wrestler.
Does it say which wrestler it is?
No, it's a fictional wrestler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
He has this videotape, and he watches it like every day. His name is Saltwater Redneck. That's the...
Okay, that's wow. Even for a fictional character, that sounds pretty real.
It's pretty great. So he escapes, and along the way he meets Shia LaBeouf, who is a fisherman, and he's also on the run. And this is a story about their friendship and also a quest to find freedom. I thought this movie was so lovely. This is probably an overstatement, but
okay,
it's kind of like Paddington.
All right, that's an interesting comparison.
Structurally, just like Paddington, this Zach doesn't have an arc. He doesn't really, change over the course of the movie, but his behavior and his personality changes the people around him.
Okay, so I think that's called a flat arc.
Okay, flat arc.
A flat arc. Like he changes what's around him rather than himself.
Yeah, and he changes Shia LaBeouf's character, who in the beginning of the movie we see him setting nets on fire.
Okay, that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal, and stealing things from other fishermen. But once he meets Zach, he changes. He becomes a better person. As I said, Zach Gottsagen is terrific, and Shia LaBeouf gives one of his best performances of his career. I thought he was just brilliant in this. And there's also Dakota Johnson, and I like seeing her in movies. There's also Bruce Dern and Thomas Hayden Church. It's a star-studded cast. This is a good-hearted movie that will make you a better person by the end of it. It's a nice, warm, hot cocoa of a movie.
Okay. I thought you would say tea. I was like, that's an overstatement. And you're like, cocoa. And I was like, that's a different tea. That's a different kind of drink.
All right, so I'm done with my reviews.
Now, for the big tentpole portion of the podcast, we're going to talk about an Oscar-nominated film that recently came out on Netflix. Was it like a month ago or like last 2 months ago?
It came out in November, I think.
Of course, November is literally like the battlegrounds for like Oscar nomination territory. Mm-hmm. So they're like, we're going to drop this artsy French film and we're going to get nominated. And guess what? They did. So the film we're reviewing is I Lost My Body, directed by Jeremy Clapin, I think. That's how I pronounce their name. I'm sorry, I don't speak French.
Yeah, me neither. Jeremy Clapin, maybe.
Jeremy Clapin.
That sounds more French, yeah.
Yeah, that does. And it's also written by Jeremy Clapin and Guillaume Laurent.
Who wrote Amélie, I think? That's what I heard.
Yeah, I read, and I'm not particularly the biggest fan of Amélie.
Me neither.
But this film otherwise proved me that, okay, I like their writing, I just don't like Emily.
Yeah, Amélie is a very annoying movie.
I don't like using this term or phrase, but I think it's a bit overrated.
It is a little bit. I don't like that term either, but yeah.
I know, but okay, side note, it's one of those films where it's like, oh, I'm into films, what are you into? I'm into Fight Club and Amélie. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. If somebody that I meet for the first time says, oh, I love Fight Club and Amélie, I'll be like, okay, nice knowing you.
Yeah, I'll be like, unmatch. We both saw this movie because it came out on Netflix, and Netflix is making it really easy for us to talk about films because, we could both see it.
Yeah.
And we thought, well, it's an animated feature film that isn't Toy Story or Pixar, so we might as well review it because, it's available. We should just do a little bunch of reviews on like some underrated Oscar films that came out recently. That
would be great.
Underrated because we everyone sees Once Upon a Time, everyone sees Irishman, but who sees I Lost My Body? Let's get started. I Lost My Body. It's about about two stories, right?
Yes.
We have I cannot pronounce it. Is it Rafoul?
Nofel, I think.
Nofel. It's Naoufel. A young man who lives, I'm assuming, in France. So it's about this kid trying to get in touch with a crush he met during work. He's a pizza delivery boy. Yeah,
the worst pizza delivery boy.
There's circumstances, Hito. There's circumstances.
I mean, come on. He does like late deliveries like 6 times in a row. Like that's bad.
Okay, I relate to that character, except for the weird parts. I relate to that character.
Okay.
That stress is real.
Sure.
But then along the way with this story, there's a hand, kind of like the Addams Family hand that walks around. It escapes a dissection lab to look for its owner.
Yeah.
And you think to yourself, okay, that makes no sense. But it makes perfect sense when you watch the film. Mm-hmm. And I will say, it's a bit obvious where the story goes regarding the hand story. Mm-hmm. Because it's not exactly the biggest, plot development, but it definitely relies more on style and heartfelt emotions.
Right.
So, what did you think overall about this film?
I thought it was a very strange movie.
Strange is exactly the word that I would use.
I feel like I need to see it again.
That's exactly how I felt after I finished it.
Like, I don't know what it's trying to do. I know what they are trying to do with these two narratives is that this hand and the story of Neufel, both of them have themes of physical and emotional dismemberment.
Yes.
In the first 5 to 10 minutes or so, we see Neufel with his parents and doing things with his hands. At first, he tries to catch a fly, and it cuts to another thing in which he plays the piano. So, the whole thing is related to the memories.
Yeah, it's basically trying to create a parallelism between the beauty of using your hands versus the beauty of living life without your hand.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not like Citizen Kane where it's like Rosebud. It's like, oh, that's a metaphor for his childhood. This movie, it's hard to pinpoint what exactly is a metaphor and what's literal.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'd say the hand story, it got a bit complicated. I mean, it's a hand looking for its owner. It's simple enough. Mm-hmm. But when the hand story and the boy story intercross at some points, mm-hmm. it could come off as confusing. Yeah, but then by the end, when you finish it, it should be a bit more clear. But I think the best thing about this movie, the reason why we're reviewing this, is because it leaves you thinking.
It does.
Because there's films like Joker that I forgot about, I'll never think about. But in this film, I was in the bathroom, I was like, what is the point of that shot? Is that this represented in this? Why did they use that? Mm-hmm. Does an igloo really matter in Antarctica? Mm-hmm. It was I kept thinking about this imagery and these themes, and I was like, would I do that? I'm like, why would I do that? Doesn't make sense. I think that's the strongest suit. It challenges your mind.
Yeah, I do like how vague the whole thing is. As a piece of art, I think this is a very interesting movie.
Very experimental, I say.
Very experimental. And the severed hand story is actually pretty exciting. Also kind of gross at times.
It gets pretty visually violent.
There is a scene where a hand grabs a pigeon's neck and accidentally breaks it.
It was violent. And it makes you feel bad for a severed hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a mouth. It doesn't have eyes. It doesn't have emotion. Well, it probably has emotions. I don't know. Does it have emotions? I don't know.
I think we're supposed to believe that the hand can see and feel things.
See, that's why I really enjoy it. But I think there's one thing we talked about before the show that we're not big fans of.
Which is
the love story.
Yeah, it's a little clumsy.
It's the love story. It's that trope from the 80s where it's like stalker is love kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to. I love Star Wars, but the Han Solo love story with Leia, kind of stalkerish if you think about it. If you retrospectively, I think it's fair to say that some films they don't need a love story. That could be stories about people becoming friends and creating a special bond. Sometimes those bonds are stronger than any love story made. But it's definitely a film that I think, we both think it's a little hidden gem on Netflix that we think it should be, watched more.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. It's very strange. Just know that going in. But yeah, it's just it leaves you with a lot of thoughts.
And it makes you actually think for yourself. I know, crazy.
Yeah, and it's you'll definitely feel things.
Weird, scared, anxious. Definitely anxious.
Depressed.
Definitely depressed. I mean, that's just me in general, but definitely depressed. But overall, we really adored this film. Mm-hmm. Little Sweetheart.
Much better than Joker.
Much better. At least this has a perspective or an opinion. Mm-hmm. But that's for a different day. Or every episode, probably. But I think we should wrap things up, Hito, now. Hito, thank you again for being a great host.
And thank you, Ricardo, for being a great guy.
And a little update on our podcast, we actually have an Instagram page up now.
Yes.
Yes, it's called Minority Opinions Pod. So it's the word podcast without the word cast. And we have a new logo. It might be a little bit startling to our longtime veteran fans. They'll be like, "What? Where's the triangle?" Nope, we're doing it. We're doing a tree now.
We're doing a tree now and chalice.
We're doing a tree and a chalice. It's a microphone, but it's a tree.
Don't get scared. It's just a new logo.
And we'll keep it updated. I already put two profile bios for Hito and I, so you could get to know us a little bit more. So, and you can follow us, and I'll probably send put up photos of me and how the recording setup looks. Hito will probably do that too. So it's a lot of behind the scenes and current updates on the podcast.
I actually don't know what is written on my bio thing that you posted, because I have nothing to do with this. It's all done by him. So
it's pretty accurate in my opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Thanks for listening. Go subscribe and review us on Apple Podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. We will love you forever
and always.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey.
And you can send us a letter at minorityopodcast@gmail.com. If you have any requests or a love letter, send it away.
Follow us on social media, review us, rate us, and the biggest supporter, listen to the episode.
And we will see you all next week
on Minority Opinions Podcast. Laters.